Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So today we are talking about the new horror film that just dropped on Peacock called Sick.
Who is that guy?
Due to the pandemic, Parker and her best friend decide to quarantine at the family lake house alone, or so they think. So one of the biggest reasons that I was really interested in this movie in the first place because we get the return of Kevin Williamson to the horror genre. You also have fellow writer Katelyn Cobb in there too, but Kevin Williamson, I'm a huge fan of his, obviously with the Scream series. I Know What You Did Last Summer, The Faculty, all those types of films. Really big fan of his work, so I was excited to see a new horror project co-written by him. So like I said, Sick takes place at the early stages of the pandemic where you have these two girls. They end up going to the family lake house to quarantine. They think that they're alone. They're just going to get away for a little while, but you quickly find out that that isn't the case and there's someone else there. Parker and her friend, they start getting these creepy messages on their phone, and quickly after that, things take a deadly turn. I'm going to be honest with you guys, just from the get-go, I was not really a huge fan of this movie, and I'm going to tell you guys why. I will say, though, to start things off, that I did like the opening of this movie. I thought that was a nice little setup. I'm not going to go into too many details because this is a spoiler-free review where it just dropped on Peacock, but I did like the opening. I thought that was a nice start. You can definitely tell that this is a Kevin Williamson type of project, just with the way that the killer interacts with victims, sending them messages. Definitely gave me vibes of Scream, of Ghostface calling up the killer and kind of playing with them on the phone. So you get that, and then you also get the commentary from Kevin Williamson with like talking about the pandemic and different things like that, winks and nods here and there. So you can definitely tell it's a Kevin Williamson written project. But again, I want to give credit to Katelyn Cobb as well because she did some writing on the film too. The unfortunate thing is that with these two main characters that we're really following up at the lake house, I don't know what it was, but for some reason I wasn't able to personally connect with either one of these characters. So when it came time for the killer to show up, I just wasn't really invested in them. So for me, that kind of took some of the tension when it came to some of the chase scenes and stuff like that. As far as the killer themselves go, the design, the outfit that they wore, I just thought was kind of boring. And when it came time to the reveal, the motives of why they were doing this, I just was kind of like, same thing. I was sitting there like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. It wasn't anything that was like, oh, like this blew my mind. So I don't know. I was just kind of like, meh. And even as far as like the kills, because I mean, you could have a killer that doesn't have like a cool design or a cool mask or anything like that. But if you have some creative kills, that can make up for it when it comes to a slasher. But unfortunately, when it comes to even that part of the film too, I thought those were even kind of run-of-the-mill, typical slasher stuff that you've seen a million times before. And there's one point in this film that I can't obviously go into detail, but something happens to a character and it just made me roll my eyes so bad. I was like, there is no way, and I know it's a horror movie. Sometimes you have to suspend your disbelief, but I was just sitting there and I'm like, there is no, like, this is going to happen, right? This is going to happen. And sure enough, it did. And I just found myself going, no, there's no freaking way. And that just kind of took me out of the film a little bit there. And the pacing just felt a little off to me too. And it's weird because this movie is not a long film. It's only an hour and 23 minutes. But I found myself sitting there and was like, at certain points in the movie, I was like, all right, come on, let's get to something else that's a little bit more interesting. So I just felt the pacing was a little off at the movie too. Overall, unfortunately, Sick ends up being one of those films that if you got nothing to do for an hour and 20 minutes, you throw it on, you might find some enjoyment in there. It's your run-of-the-mill typical slasher movie. But I think it's going to be something that, unfortunately, it's not going to be one that you're going to remember later on down the road. And that's too bad, because I was really looking forward to this, like I said, with Kevin Williamson returning to write part of the film. But yeah, and I don't know, don't get me wrong, I could be on the complete opposite end of this thing. It seems like I am, because from what I've seen, some of the critic scores and stuff like that I want to say it's like in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. So maybe it just wasn't for me for whatever reason. And hey, if you guys love it, hey, that's all the power to you. I am happy that you did. I don't know, for some reason I just couldn't get into it, unfortunately, and I was really bummed that I wasn't able to. So I'm going to give this a score of 5 out of 10. So did you guys end up checking out Sick, which is on Peacock now? If you did, I definitely want to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comments. So let me know. And if not, is this something that you are planning to check out in the future? It's only on streaming. It didn't get a theatrical release or anything like that. But I want to hear what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Let me know. And again, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.